Right, I'm also going to record this meeting so that it can be a resource to other folks.
Cool.
Yeah. And I see a couple folks are still arriving, so yeah, thanks for joining. As people come on, we're just going to wait at least a couple of minutes to see how many folks join. And you can feel free to announce yourselves as you join as well.
I just want to have fun all day. Okay, see you guys. Bye.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, Russell, are you there? All right, you might be on mute if so. Glad you were able to join though. And I see a couple other folks are still joining. Yeah. So I guess maybe I'll go ahead and get started and we can just add folks into the fold as they join. So thanks for making time to be a part of this info session today on leader teams. I wanted to offer this session because I know that can be some mystery around leader teams as what type of opportunity they are. I mean, honestly, the information on our website is in a different place than people are used to looking for and all that. So just wanted to kind of, provide some clarity and unveiling some of the mystery around what leader teams are through this call. So I appreciate that I'm noticing people are muting themselves, and that's really great and helpful since this is a group call. If you can keep yourself on mute unless you're sharing, that would be great just to cut down on some of the background noise. So what we're going to do for this call, it's really aimed toward prospective members for leader teams to answer questions that you might have and just provide information. So we're going to start off with doing introductions just to know everybody who's on the call. And then we will move into reviewing some of the background and scope of leader teams. I'll talk kind of about their structure, the types of projects, placements, benefits. After that, I'll share a couple of resources that I think are useful to prospective members to take a look at. And then we'll just open it up to a question and answer session. So I did schedule this info session to be an hour because I wanted there to be ample time for people to ask questions and for people to join in late and all of that. But this probably won't take a full hour. But again, thanks for joining, folks, and let's just go ahead and dive in then. So I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Hannah Jo King, and I am a leader recruiter with the SCA. I've been with the SCA for a little over a year now, and I started off as a leader last summer and then transitioned into this recruiting role. So I'm going to ask Sue to introduce yourself next, if you wouldn't mind.
Hey there, I'm Sue Pitts. I've been with SCA for 10 years now. In the last couple of years, I was helping to facilitate the leader team hiring process. I moved on from that role, but I'm on here today to help answer any questions that folks have later on in the call.
Great, thank you, Sue. Yeah, and then we'll just popcorn style for everybody else. If you would share your name, what your connection is to SCA, and then if you could just share what your certifications are. So if you have especially a specialized certification like chainsaw or rigging or a WFA, that's helpful for me to know when getting to placement time with leader teams. And additionally, if there's any teams that really sparked your interest or that you had particular preference in, that's helpful for me to know. So yeah, we can go ahead and just popcorn style with who's on the call. Don't be shy.
Hi, everybody. My name's Robert Hogue. I am currently serving on an SCA Native Plant Corps team at Estes Island National Seashore. In terms of certifications, have a WFA and CPR. And and I guess so I'm here on the call with Ashley and Laura. So they can introduce themselves. But we also have like an ATV shirt for the Park Service. And I was interested in the Columbia River Gorge leader team if there's openings. Yeah.
I'm Ashley, also on the vegetation management crew at Assateague. Same certifications as Robert, and I haven't really looked into the specific leader teams yet. I was just kind of interested.
Hi, I'm Laura, and my story is the same as the other two people's with no alterations. So here we are.
Great, thanks, Native Plant Corps team. Do others want to jump in? I can start calling you out because I also see your names in the attendee list.
Hey, can y'all hear me? This is Malik.
Oops. We can hear you, Malik.
Okay. I was just joining into the eavesdrop, and also my name is Malik. I'm teams manager up here in the Northwest, and I did do a leader crew for about a month and a half, so I can speak on it and say that it was amazing and you should do it. That's all.
Thanks, Malik. All right.
Hi. I just want to introduce myself real quick. I'm Jennifer Huckabone. I'm the recruiting officer for the SCA. And it's my first month here, and I am just excited to learn more about the leader teams.
Let's see. Russell, are you there on the call?
If you open up the chat bar on the side, it says his mic's not working, so if he's communicating via chat.
There you go. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Well, I'm glad you were able to join. Russell served with Hudson Valley Corps in 2016 and has CPR certification. Thank you. Oh, interested in Rocky Mountain. All right, great. Thank you. I also know that we have Emmeline's on the call, another one of the program managers, and I think her mic is maybe also not working. And I see two mystery callers.
This is CM. I'm a program coordinator out in Chicago. My mic is not working on my laptop right now, also, so I called in. But I'm on the call just to get a little bit more information about leader team, upcoming things, and also information to pass on to my crew leaders who are in our community program that are just finishing up and might be interested in doing leader teams in the fall or winter.
Glad you could join
Hey,
us.
this is Emmeline. I'm just here in the background, former program manager, now in the training department. Yeah, that's why I wasn't speaking up. Just listening in to hear what's going on with leader teams, and that's it. I work in Oakland.
Great. And for anybody else who's joined, we're just saying our names, our connection with SCA, and if you can add in any certifications that you have, that's helpful for me to know, and if there are any specific placements that you were excited about for leader teams. All right. I will go ahead and get started. I know not everybody always wants to do intros, and that's fine. So it's cool. I think it's great that we have both like the programmatic side and SCA staff here, as well as prospective members. And I hope that that resource can be utilized throughout this call, and that folks can help to answer questions and just like generate excitement and interest around what leader teams are. So for those of you who are able to share the screen, I've pulled up a page that has the concept and scope for leader teams. Are folks able to see that?
Acetate got it.
Got it.
Okay. All right, great. So I'll go through that and also just like, verbally go through it so that people who don't have a screen can follow along with this. So I guess at a high level, leader teams are a program that the SCA offers that's pretty unique from our other programs. We do them in the what we call the shoulder seasons, so pretty much fall and spring, off of our high seasons of summer. And I'll just start by going through kind of in order of how this document is organized. So in terms of members for who we recruit for leader teams and who's a good fit, it's really any SCA alumni could be a good fit for leader teams. And specifically, we recruit for former leaders or like newly hired leaders from the previous summer, as well as core members or conservation intern members. So this is really our focused group in terms of membership, because these are folks who have trail experience, and leader teams are focused around trail and conservation work. And so that kind of brings me to the next point, which is around training. So unlike other programs of the SCA, most leader teams do not include formal training at their beginning. So there's not going to be that introductory period where you're going through work skills and learning different tools, or getting soft skills around communication or like in-field protocols. So for that reason, that's why we bring in alumni, and that's why we bring in folks who already have this background and who have hopefully been to a training before. There are some exceptions that we make, but that's kind of the generally who we are targeting. Occasionally with a more technical project, there will be a training included. So I did want to highlight that this year, one of those teams that we already have is going to be at Mammoth Cave in Kentucky. And it's going to include a game of logging chainsaw certification training. So that's honestly a great opportunity for folks who want to be able to build additional skills that can be, marketable in the future, that this chainsaw training is included. Great. In terms of timing, I guess I pretty much already spoke to this, that we plan leader teams for those shoulder seasons, really just not during the major summer seasons. They can be a really wide range in terms of their length. So the shortest ones we have are 2 weeks, and this fall, we have one that's going to be as long as 12 weeks out in California, which is a roving team. So they're pretty flexible in terms of that. And I actually think that that's another benefit to folks, because people kind of have different schedules in the fall and spring. And with seasonal employment, it's nice to be able to, piece in like wherever you're able to like take off from your other job. And anyway, I have found that flexibility and timing helps folks to be able to utilize this opportunity when otherwise they might not be able to commit to like a 4-month core or a 10-month core or something like that. The size of our teams, again, this does vary depending on the project, but it's 1 leader, and then it can be 2 members up to 5 members. So the types of projects that we focus on is, again, a pretty big range. For the most part, though, these are more technical projects, and we're completing projects that a high school crew might not be the best fit for, because, they're like more high skill, and also high school crews don't necessarily work at the same pace as an all-adult team. So this year we have lined up some chainsaw crews, an environmental surveying team, rock work, invasive species removal. There's some construction projects focused around bridge construction, and then general trail maintenance. So I also put in there just a little note that as of now, there's 14 teams lined up across the country for this fall. And it's all the way from West Coast, East Coast, Texas. We might even have one in Florida. So just to, I guess, reiterate what the goal of these teams are, is that it's really another opportunity to provide experience to SCA members as a way to grow in their conservation skill set and in their conservation careers. And at the same time, like on the other hand, for partners, this is a chance for us to complete projects for them that are off of the shoulder seasons, that are, high need. Sometimes it's projects that may have gotten started over the summer but not completed. So it's just like a short term, 4 weeks, and we're going to build a bridge and a very achievable small term goal in that sense. And then the benefits are, it's $280 a week, which is paid bi-weekly. Room and board is included. Travel to and from the site is included, and then for most teams, there's also a uniform stipend of $200, which comes on the first paycheck. And then in terms of how you apply and how placements are done, I'm going to wait to do that until we get to, we're going to go view one of the pages of the SCA website for those of you who are on the screen, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But I did want to pause because I just threw a lot of information out there, and some of it was pretty high level. So I wanted to pause to give a chance for people to add. In particular, I would say, Sue, if you have anything to add to what I've already said, as well as for people to ask questions about what's been said so far.
I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Any questions so far? When does the program start? So the teams really vary in their start days. For the fall, some of them are starting as soon as 2 weeks from now, like August 20th is our soonest team. And then the latest team is November 5th. So if somebody's not available until January, you might want to touch base back again in January about the spring teams that we'll have, which will probably have more like March-ish start dates. Yeah, thanks for that question, Sian.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, Hannah Jo, that we have had teams in the spring start as early as February. So if someone's not available to January, there's no guarantee they'll start in February, but there's a possibility that we have something as early as that as well.
Great. Thanks, Sue. Okay, well, let's go ahead and continue, and then, people can feel free to ask questions as they come. And I did, as I said, set aside time for just question and answer at the end. So next, I just want to share a couple of resources that I think are helpful for prospective members to take a look at. So the first one is there's a leader teams page on the SCA website now. For folks who are not on a screen, this page can be found nearby where the field leader opening page is, which hopefully most people know where that is, or you can just Google SCA leader teams and I'm sure it'll pop up. But this page basically, the start of it just goes over most of the information that I had just shared in terms of the length of teams, like who are the ideal members for teams. But one of the parts that I think is really exciting, because it's live accessible information, is that we have a list of all the teams that are happening for this fall. So I encourage folks to take a look at this and to email the leader inbox, so leaders@thesca.org, if any of these teams are of interest to you in particular. I will say now, of course, I can't guarantee to anybody that if you email with interest in one of these teams that we'll be able to accommodate, but it is nice, I think, to know what everything that's lined up, the schedule, and hopefully this helps people to be able to piece it together with their own schedules. So the question that had come up before about availability after January, so none of those teams are posted yet for the spring. That I'll probably get those posted maybe in like November, December, maybe even later, I guess, depending on kind of when they are. But these are all the fall teams. So they're separated by the top half of the list is more focused on the teams that we know, well, supposedly we know are happening, that have had conversations with the partner and that are far along in their process and that we are starting to make placements on. The teams that are below that are teams that are kind of those conversations with the park partners are newer, and we're still figuring out whether or not those are going to be in the field for the fall. So as teams move from being kind of a potential team to being more of a concrete team, I kind of bump them up in the list. And I'm also updating it and taking teams off as we hear that they aren't happening. So leader teams do have much more flux than other programs in SCA, as I'm sure folks have noticed. And that's just kind of an additional piece to the recruiting and placement and why calls like this are helpful to be able to answer questions.
Yeah, and this is Sue. I would just add to that, the emphasis that sometimes a team may not come through, and if that is the case, then we would, communicate with folks continuously and be very transparent, and then also work to place you on a team that is officially coming through. That said, it may not be that initial first choice that you had, but we would work to get you a placement if there were placements still available.
Yep, definitely. And so that kind of brings us to the next part, which is about how to apply. So again, unlike other SCA programs, this has a pretty unique application process. Since we're only hiring for alumni, there's not going to be an interview process. It's really just a matching. So if you email and say that you're interested, what we'll do is take a look at your skill set, your background, your availability, and then your preferences, and it's just matching you with the right teams. So it does tend to be quite a bit of back and forth over email or phone, and this is in my purview, so I really hope that folks feel comfortable to reach out to me. Primarily at the leaders inbox is the best place, which again, leaders@thesca.org, which is right on here, is the best place to get in contact about these teams. Great. So that's an overview of this resource. I just want to highlight a couple of others and then we'll open up to more questions. So there's also a crew leader or a field leader website, which is www.scacrewleaders.org. Most folks who are leaders with SCA should be aware of this website because it contains a number of training resources that leaders need to go through, but core members or previous interns might not be aware of it. So this website is really internal to SCA, so we just use it for folks that we've hired on as a way to share, like I said, share resources. And there is a leader teams page on this website. So I would point folks in the direction of this. Again, if you have more questions about leader teams, there is a page on here that has like past reports from leader teams. They're a little outdated. I could do better with like updating this. But it gives you an idea of kind of what projects leader teams have worked on in the past. And then there's also some important pages like booking your travel. So if you do get placed on a leader team and you're flying there, you're going to need to take a look at this page so that you can learn how to book your travel through Ugencia. And again, if you have questions with that, you can always just reach out to me. And then another resource is, again, on the same page, there's field resources and forms. And I've gotten a couple of questions about gear and like how to prepare for these teams, especially with the uniform stipend. So I just wanted to point out that there's a recommended gear list here, which I have open in the other tab already. So I'm just going to go to that. So similar to our national and core programs, SCA in terms of gear, like we provide the tents, the stoves, the cooking gear, and pretty much what you need for base camp. But in terms of what people need to bring on their own. If it's a camping crew, which I suppose I should point out, not all leader teams are. Some do provide housing, so those are both options. But if it's a camping crew, then folks are expected to bring their own sleeping bag, sleeping pad, backpack, and a number of other, this is just a helpful resource to know what you need to bring versus what SCA provides. And again, that uniform stipend comes on your first paycheck, and so it's kind of spent as you see fit and for whatever gear that you need in your uniform. Okay, great. Well, that's all that I had prepared for this session. So like I said, I didn't think it was going to take a full hour, but we can just open it to questions and or comments about leader teams. Thanks, everybody. I'm happy to sit in the awkward silence of it, because I know there are some people who joined the call late as well, and yeah, honestly, feel free to ask anything that you would ask if it was just us on a phone call.
Hey, Hannah Jo, this is Malik. I was just curious about that East Bay Regional Parks crew.
Yeah.
It's not even in my region, but, as an old East Bay brat, I'm just curious about, that looks pretty interesting, and I just wanted to know some details around it. Are they camping in the parks, or is it more like a residential commuter crew, or? Yeah.
Yeah. So that crew is going to be, they are going to be camping in the parks around East Bay. And I guess the hope with that team is that it'll be about half local folks and about half national folks. And next year there's further, I guess there's more in the works in terms of partnering with East Bay Parks and just trying to continue that partnership. So we're hoping to get, as I said, local folks onto that team so that they can make more professional connections in the East Bay. And in terms of the work of it, I think it's pretty general for general trails work. I don't recall any specific skills that would be needed or that it's heavy construction or anything along those lines.
Thanks.
Hey, Hannah Jo, I have a question. As someone, I guess this can go to both you and Malik, as individuals who have participated on a leader team before, what are some of the challenges that someone could expect to anticipate on a team? And then also outside of the financial benefits, what were some of the benefits that you gained from being on the team?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can take a stab at it first if you're all right with that, Malik. So some of I guess I'll start with the challenges. So that was the first question. I think honestly, a challenge with leader teams is that it's both sides of the coin, right? Because we're all alumni, so it's awesome because people have a similar interests and mindset, and we have all had diverse experiences within SCA. So there's a lot of opportunity to share stories and just a lot of camaraderie that you wouldn't necessarily get from right off the bat with another SCA team. And I loved that and thought it was great. But I think a flip side to that in terms of a challenge is that folks have been leaders before, so they're more used to calling the shots and making decisions. And then, you get onto a team where you might be a member and then you have a leader. So it's kind of just, playing with crew dynamics. And I mean, the leader team that I was on, I thought it was great. We all really respected our project leader, and our project leader did a great job at giving us a lot of autonomy and leadership in our own right. But I know that is a challenge that leader teams have, is just, figuring out how to be a leader to folks who are also themselves leaders. And I could probably speak more to some of the benefits too. I thought another benefit to me was I was on a chainsawing crew, so now I have my chainsaw certification, and that's awesome. And I got to make more connections with the national park system, honestly, because my background, I did a community crew in Philly, so I was with the PA Outdoor Corps, and so just I don't know, that wasn't a national park system team, so being able to go somewhere else that like wasn't in my region that I otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to, but because SCA was like paying for the travel and providing this opportunity, I got to learn more about like how to apply for jobs with NPS or just like the government in general, and go to a place that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to go to. So yeah, I thought that was really cool for myself. Malik, did you have anything to add in terms of Sue's question?
Yeah, I pretty much second everything you said, and then some challenges for me were actual physical challenges. I did some of the most gnarly hiking, backpacking on a leader crew I've ever done. We were trained in, well, our leader crew had some interesting training, some cool stuff. We got trained in crosscut sawing and in rigging, which we used a lot of up while we were up there. It was in El Dorado National Forest and Desolation Wilderness, California. And yeah, the challenging part was having a grip hoist that weighs a lot, you know, with all your other gear. So those were kind of some physical challenges that I overcame. And the camaraderie is there right away because you're all leaders. You all have quote unquote, you know, stories about running community or national crews. Yeah, some of the benefits I got out of it, just being able to adapt and work with many different leadership styles. A lot of cooks, so to speak, literally. Everybody had a different version of gato. And if you don't know what that is, you'll learn. And yeah, just I was kind of focused on learning the ropes of what it'd be like to be a project or a project leader during that time. So I was really asking a lot of questions and trying to learn the ropes around that. But then I got a different position instead. Yeah, those are kind of the benefits. You get to definitely schmooze with park partners and use them as references in terms of like applying for those jobs. Yeah, it was one of those things that I wish mine was only a month and a half long, but I wished it was, 3 to 5 months longer. So yeah, it was a great time. Thanks.
Thanks, Malik, and thanks for the question, Sue.
Hi, I'm Erin. I have a quick question if it's an okay time.
Definitely, please.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you already mentioned this. My Wi-Fi is, I actually don't have Wi-Fi. I'm on Ethernet in Slovakia, so it's really hard to tell what you're saying, but could I find out a little bit more about the schedule of the cruise?
Yes, thanks, Erin, and sorry if the connection is not great for you. We can always also try to touch base after this call. But the schedule really varies. So leader teams are in the fall and in the spring. For our fall teams, we have teams as short as 2 weeks and as long as 12 weeks. And we have teams that start as soon as August 20th and end as late, or end as late as like 3 days before, December 22nd. So yeah, it's a big range, and it's good to know, I guess, what your availability is and try to find a crew that fits with it. Did that answer your question? Maybe that's not what you were referring to when you said schedule.
I kind of meant a little bit more like day to day. Like, is it similar to a national crew with like a 9 to 5 type thing, or are there like off days, or how does it work?
Gotcha. Okay, thanks. So it's again, like, it kind of varies by crew. There's definitely, like, you're not going to be like working in the evenings. Like, I don't know if it's going to be 9 to 5. It might be more like 7 to 3 or like 7 to 5, I guess, depending. It could be a 4-day week with like longer days, or it could be 5-day weeks with weekends off, or honestly, it could be like longer hitches with them like multiple days off. But you will have days off during a leader team hitch. And you also do have 2 travel days that are included. So the first day that you arrive is like a paid work day, even though it's just like for traveling to arrive, and the same at the end. So I know that doesn't necessarily provide too much clarity because, again, it really varies. But yeah.
And I would just add to that as well, Erin, that it could also be that you work 5 days and have 2 days off, but it's not on a like weekend schedule. It really just depends on the partner and what their needs. Sometimes crews will work directly alongside the partner, so you'll be working their days, their hours. And then other times they leave it up to the leader of the crew and the crew to kind of figure out that schedule. So we don't really have clear details for each project at this point, but that's definitely something that gets ironed out once the crew is in the field. And then it'll be similar somewhat to national, depending on where you are. The team will, go out in the field and then come back at the end of the day, cook meals together as a team, purchase food together as a team. So in some ways, it is similar to that national crew or core team situation when it comes to food and housing.
Yeah, definitely. And if there's for myself, when I was doing a leader team, I was really interested in like having weekends off because that was just the schedule that I wanted in my life. So if there's, again, if there's something in particular that you're looking for, I can try to provide more information or like try to let you know which crews might be a match for that. But as Sue mentioned, we don't always have all of the details until sometimes close to the date. So it just requires a fair amount of communication between yourself and me and whoever is planning these teams.
Yeah, thank you. That makes sense.
Great. Awesome. Do we have any more questions? All right, speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, well, not hearing other questions, I just want to say thanks again for joining today. I hope that this was insightful and provided you with more information. I was able to record this, so if I learn technology enough, I will get it posted onto the crew leader website, and then I'll send out a follow-up on this meeting so that folks know that the resource exists. But yeah, again, feel free to reach out to myself, leaders at the SCA.org, or I think I've been in touch with most of you already, honestly, so hopefully we're already working towards a placement for you. And yeah, thanks for joining. I hope you have a good rest of your week, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hannah.
Thanks, everyone.